BFLO Store legend of the game, center Mitch Morse.
Orchard Park, New York. Home of the greatest fan base on God's green earth. You guys ready to party? Okay, let's do it. Hey, hey. Hey, hey. Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. Where else would you rather be than...
All right, it's time for From the Armchair, presented by Raymore and Flanagan. Raymore and Flanagan is a proud partner of the Buffalo Bills, and we welcome in former Bills center Mitch Morse, also the host of the Monday Mornings with Mitch podcast. And look, Mitch, it was a good debut performance, as said legend. Did it with a capital L, and we've got to critique a little bit your chugging, which I think there was a good flow there, but we have some footage to kind of break this down. I don't have a telestrator, unfortunately, but this was pretty good. We've got some footage of this chugging here. So sit back and enjoy here. So the chugging is going, the flow is going. Have you just pretty much, it looks like he's opened his throat at this point in time.
I think so. Tell me, who did you enlarge the can opening? I think you did, didn't you? You shotgunned that thing pretty well, and the thing is, you didn't
minimal
spill.
spillage.
Yeah, I mean, it's going somewhere.
Yeah, boys, it's going. And I'm still feeling it. Armchair, but I'm about to fall out of this armchair because I'm so still.
Wow, that was great.
Now it got a little foamy at the end.
Awesome. Really proud of that. I think that was an excellent addition to the Legend of the Game script. I think we should put that in for every single legend that comes through now.
Well, we had to clear it from the tip top, right? Because I go, hey, I would really love to take a beer to the Dome. And they go, there's way more things that can go wrong than right. And I say, I promise you the last thing I want to do is screw this up. I want to come be invited back.
Right.
I will not embarrass you guys. It'll be the very end. And so after much consideration, they're like, as long as it's a little blue light, take it. Go nuts. And Kelsey Swain was there. She's just a gem of a person. She She opened it up. She might have given it a little more airflow, and she handed it to me perfectly so that they'll bet.
That's a pro's pro there.
Kelsey, yes. Kelsey is an absolute dependable go-to Bills employee that will never let you down. Yeah, for those who don't know, she's once in a while, she's the person that trails with a phone one of the players as they're running out of the tunnel. She'll run behind it. Social media. She's an absolute gem.
She's the best. I love her.
Yeah.
True.
So she hooked you up with the blue light, and let me say, it was impressive, even in slow motion.
Did you open your throat for that? Can you do that?
I blacked out. Truly, I was pretty lit up by then already. My wife at 11 a.m. looks at me and she goes, Mitch, you can't even open your eyes. You have to slow down. So those 2 hours, I was able to at least get the peepers open a little bit and be able to be cognitively aware enough of not trying to screw this up.
Now, I'll say this, too.
For that.
You mentioned it to me. We had this conversation. I said it a minute ago. The atmosphere around the stadium on Sunday was off the charts. I mean, absolutely off the charts. Everybody had their whole tailgate out and in full force, in full regalia. It was really a special afternoon, and you were there to, take part in all of it, right?
Well, the first person that I saw, Steve Tasker, was yourself.
I know.
We showed up. Gave me the proverbial blessing on where to go, what not to do. I got to meet your brothers who have full residency at your house at the current moment.
That's correct.
And I'll tell you what, it was just the gentle shove I needed, because I kind of candidly told you I was a little bit nervous. And you're like, no, you're on a great journey to Mecca, which is the Hammers lot. Go through Allen Street.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, it took me about 2 hours to travel 50 yards because the folks were feeding me good vibes, feeding me food. Of course, a little bit of the spicy holy water, which is a little bats. And then we just made our way over there, and it was a blessing. But I really appreciate your kind words before, because it gave me the gentle push I needed.
I will say this. I was really proud of you. I knew you were geared up for it because we got there before 9 a.m. and the lots were, people were just, lots weren't even open there, just, and out comes Mitch out of his, he's got the, the 6-pack of tall boys and just ready to just let's go. And I was like, Mitch, okay, it's going to be a long morning.
Got to pace yourself, buddy.
I'm glad it wasn't a night game, because somebody might have had to fireman's carry you into the stadium to get there. But the 1 o'clock start worked out perfectly.
Prop them up like a weekend at Bernie's.
That's right. You pulled it off expertly. Congratulations.
Well, it felt like the Stations of the Cross as the Tays went on. Just kind of over by the end, and then there was some sort of a resurrection around the midday mark, and then we were able to just continue this thing on.
Okay,
so I
good.
appreciate it.
That's awesome.
So let's get cracking here from the armchair and what you saw as you sobered up for the game and kickoff. Number one, perimeter blocking on Shakir's 43-yard touchdown catch and run.
Yeah, I think perimeter blocking for this team, Chris, has been a strength. It's something that you can tell that they've attacked in the offseason, and just seeing the guys take their angles and be able to use their hands in space. I think we've seen Dalton Kincaid become one of the best perimeter blockers on earth. And then Terrel Shavers, God bless him, really just finished the guy off, put him in the dirt. And then, of course, Khalil made quite a nifty move there. But I think it was just a testament to what this team's worked on, what they do well, feeding off each other's energy, helping each other out. And even, as a receiver, it's not the sexiest thing to do, blocking, right? Perimeter blocking, all that stuff. But we know that that's the stuff that makes this team click. That's what makes these offensive drives continue. And it's just such a selfless act. And to put that on your shoulders and do that well is going to be one of those things that this team continues to do in the long run.
We saw that from the very beginning with Sean McDermott and the kind of team he puts out there and the culture there. To speak to that a little bit, because it really does seem to be, on both sides of the ball, maybe one of the most unselfish teams you could ever come across.
Yeah, Steve, I think that's well said. I think selflessness is one of those things that kind of gets this ship going, right? And when you have a team that cares about each other, that celebrates each other's wins, wants to see the other guy succeed, right? It's a selfless ball club. It's the ultimate team sport, and to see the boys go out there, even when their numbers, quote unquote, not called, but they know what's best for the team. That just feeds momentum. That feeds that electricity. That's execution, and I think it's something that they've really put in stake in this offseason, and especially this season.
Yeah, we also saw that on Cole Bishop's interception. Everybody that came to celebrate with him for his first career interception. Number two here, Terrel Bernard's gap blitz execution. The Bills needed to get home on Rattler, who was in an early rhythm there, and Bobby Babbage called this blitz up, and it worked a couple of times for him.
I think Terrel Bernard is one of the most well-rounded football players in the NFL, and he's been asked to do a lot with Matt Milano out, right? In that second quarter, we saw the New Orleans Saints have a little bit of momentum. Spencer Rattler was playing pretty good, especially when he decided to take off with his legs. Twice, I think once from depth and then once lined up on the line of scrimmage. It's a feel thing, right? Of course, you're going to execute what's the call, but you don't want to tip your hat. You don't want to give a quarterback an opportunity to get yourself picked up, whether it's protection, schematically, or whatever. And what he's been able to do, not only, of course, in the pass game when it's in regards to interceptions, takeaways, but what he's able to do in the backfield is one of those unsung things that I hope that they keep attacking and keep, taking advantage of. And Bobby Babbage seems to know what he's got in Terrel Bernard and playing to his strengths.
And one of the other things you mentioned is for one of the few times over the last couple of years they had an offensive lineman have to take a game, and Spencer Brown sat down yesterday. Ryan Van Demark came in. Now in a game where it's tough to sack Josh, but the Saints did a nice job of it. They got 3 sacks on him. But you're saying, and we have long said that the Bills' offensive line has been a strength, and their depth has been a big asset. Ryan Van Demark yesterday, you thought he played pretty well coming in off the bench and throughout the game.
Yeah, I wouldn't let statistics in regards to like a sack, I don't know the last time the Bills gave up more than one sack in a game, right? It's unprecedented. And so don't take too much into that. What he did really well was go out there, compete, fly around. Depth for Bean, especially in offensive defensive lines, always been a point of emphasis for him. We've had continuity on the offensive line, pretty unprecedented continuity, whether it's, injury is one of those things you can only do so much to prevent, right? You're going to be called upon, like especially at that tackle position when you're trying to protect the MVP. And what he was able to do in that run game, finishing guys, understanding the strengths, his energy was palpable, man. It was felt. And talking to the guys on the offense, talking to Cromer, talking to the people that matter when it comes to these opinions, they had the utmost respect for the way he played. Looking him in the eye after the game and saying he played a great job was one of the greatest things I could have done. Of course, I was a little lit up, but from the heart, man, like he played his tail off. And something that this Bills team should feel confident about is that tackle position, that depth with Vandy there.
I want to ask you one more question about that, Mitch, because you can obviously speak to this being a former lineman, and you've probably fallen victim to it yourself. That fourth down play that didn't work with Shakir inside, they pull Vandy to the left to kind of seal off the far side of that formation defensively for the Saints, and it looked like he got tripped by one of the guards on the play, which, look, it's going to happen every once in a while. Is there a means by which you can avoid that? Because you're trying to get to your landmark as fast as you possibly can. I would think one of the last things you're worried about if there's a foot in your way, that trips you up because you're trying to find your landmark and hit it. So is there any rule of thumb for that kind of stuff when you're reviewing it on film? Because I got to imagine it's kind of hard to be aware of that stuff when you're resolutely focused on what your landmark is.
Yeah, totally, Chris, especially in that fourth down, right? The last thing you want to do, I guess the only thing you could say is get a little bit of depth on that to clear, but then you don't want to tip your hat. It's fourth down. You want to make sure that this team thinks you're going to run it through the A gaps, which is what they were trying to do. It was still going to be between the tackles, going to be right off of Vandy's deal, but that's also just time on task, right? Like it's something that I'm sure he'll look at, figure out. People seem to be slipping all over that field on Sunday, which was kind of so footing wasn't only on Vandy in that instance, but I think it still was another thing, a testament to who he is as a player, a young professional, was that he didn't let that deter him from concluding and having a very strong game.
It's interesting, too, because we talk about this a lot. We had Eric Wood on Monday after the game. We talked about this, and we actually spoke to him last night at his event. Those are the type of those fourth down gotta have. You never get to practice those full speed. It's always there's always stepping back and stepping on the guy who's stepping on his foot. That's the kind of stuff that happens. You might happen in practice, and even if it happens once in practice, you think, okay, I can't take that. Even if I get bull rushed, I can't take that step back because Vandy's going to be. You just never know. That's the first time you run that thing at full go. Full contact,
let alone with Vandy, who's usually in a game. Not in the lineup.
Yeah.
So I think people forget how hard it is to know exactly what happens when the adrenaline's off the chart, right? I mean, guys push a little harder, they go a little faster, they move a little differently. The defense is playing lights out as well. They're coming hard. You just don't get to practice it. It's all, you forget that it's kind of a roll of the dice in that regard.
Yeah, well, I think they're also making a conscious effort, the Bills, that is, on not just trying to be a QB sneak team. It's one of those things that stood out to me quite a bit. And, of course, it was 4th and 2. It's not really a place
sneak
where you
stuff,
do
yeah.
Right? But then like you just said, the defense is flying off the ball. If there's any type of penetration, whether it's the interior, whatever, there's going to be foot traffic. And it's a quick hitter. So what you're doing from that right tackle position, flipping your hips, crossing your feet over, then trying to get as flat as you can, right? Because you want it to be an inside-out block. You want to trap them with that outside shoulders, but you have to be inside on that. So it's asking a guy to do a lot in a scenario, to your credit, that they don't practice full speed because you just quite can't against your own guys.
Right.
Mitch, thanks for all the time. As usual, not only legend of the game, but here on Tuesday. We'll catch up with you next week.
You beauties. I appreciate having me on. Take it easy, guys.
Thanks,
All right,
Mitch.
That's Mitch Morse, former Bills center and host of the Monday Mornings with Mitch podcast, helping us out with From the Armchair, as he does every week, presented by Raymore and Flanagan.